Hello class of AP Psychology. This is my project on drug addiction. In this video presentation I will be going over human addiction as well as how or why we become so addicted, most specifically with drugs. I will begin by explaining some of the most abused and used drugs, what types of drugs they are, the positive and negative effects of the drugs, etc., etc. After that, I will go over why exactly we as humans get addicted in terms of both social psychology and biopsychology, the brain chemicals and stuff, so to say, as well as present the disease versus free will argument and how drug addiction is not a disease, but rather simply put, a poor self-made decision. To begin, let's go over some of the most commonly abused drugs, what type of drug they are, and both the positive and negative effects each drug has. First, let's start with alcohol. Type depressant. Pleasurable effects include initial high followed by relaxation and disinhibition. Sorry, I couldn't say that word. Adverse effects include depression, memory loss, organ damage, and impaired reactions. Next is heroin, which is a type of depressant. Pleasurable effects include rush of euphoria and relief from pain. Adverse effects include depressed physiology and agonizing withdrawal. Next is caffeine, which is a type of stimulant. Pleasurable effects include increased alertness and wakefulness. Adverse effects include anxiety, restlessness, and insomnia in high doses, as well as uncomfortable withdrawal. Next is methamphetamine, which is a type of stimulant. Pleasurable effects include euphoria, alertness, and energy. Adverse effects include irritability, insomnia, and hypertension. Oh, and seizures. Next is cocaine, which is a type of stimulant. Pleasurable effects include rush of euphoria, confidence, and energy. Adverse effects include cardiovascular stress, suspiciousness, otherwise known as paranoia, and a depressive crash. Next is nicotine, which is a type of stimulant. Pleasurable effects include arousal and relaxation, as well as sense of well-being. Adverse effects include heart disease and cancer. Then there's ecstasy, which is a type of both a stimulant and a mild hallucinogen. Pleasurable effects include emotional elevation and disinhibition. Adverse effects include dehydration and overheating, depressed mood, and cognitive functioning. Last is marijuana, which is a type of mild hallucinogen. Pleasurable effects include enhanced sensation, relief of pain, and distortion of time, as well as relaxation. Adverse effects include disrupted memory and lung damage from the smoke. Now let's discuss exactly why we as humans get addicted. I will go over addiction in both terms of social psychology and biopsychology, which is the physical brain and the chemicals being put into it. Okay, before I begin, I would like to note that there is actually a very, very broad range of weird and wacky addictions. So it is not only drugs, but there's literally thousands, if you see this website, of different types of addictions. Drugs are, however, pretty much the most renowned, but there's addiction to tannins, there's crackberry, addiction to blackberry, addiction to cosmetic surgery, hey, look at that, cube. Addiction to funerals, that's morbid. Addiction to dirt. Addiction to teeth whitening. I mean, it could just go on and on. There's thousands. Okay, so the first thing I would like to discuss on why people would get addicted to a drug is tolerance. Drug tolerance occurs when a subject's reaction to a drug decreases so that larger doses are required to achieve the same effect. In addicted patients, the resulting pattern of uncontrolled escalating doses may lead to drug overdose. The second reason as to why people may become addicted has to do with our reward center in our brain, which certain neural structures called the reward system are critically involved mediating the effects of reinforcement. A reward is an appetitive stimulus given to a human or some other animal to alter its behavior. Rewards typically serve as reinforcer. A reinforcer is something that, when presented after a behavior, causes the probability of that behavior's occurrence to increase. Reward or reinforcement is an objective way to describe the positive value an individual ascribes to an object, behavioral act, or an internal physical state. Primary rewards include those that are necessary for the survival of species, such as food, sexual contact, or successful aggression. Secondary rewards derive their value from primary rewards. Money is a good example. They can be produced experimentally by pairing a neutral stimulus with a known reward. Almost all drugs causing drug addiction increase the dopamine levels released in the mesolimbic pathway. For example, opioids, nicotine, amphetamine, ethanol, and cocaine, and so on and so forth. After prolonged use, psychological drug tolerance and sensitization arises. Drugs have many different effects on the brain. However, they all follow the same path. They stimulate the brain in various ways to receive a reward or, in this case, a high. The relationship between drugs and the reward system is rather close. Drugs provide an almost immediate reward that oftentimes leads to addiction. For example, one drinks alcohol to feel intoxicated. This would be considered a positive reinforcement, which may lead us to continue engaging in the said behavior even regardless to the negative results it may have. Okay, let's wrap this up now with how addiction is not a disease. I will rush through this as the video is already a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. 1. Doctors like to claim that drug addiction, and many other types of addiction, is a disease, so that they, have something that they can treat, and if they have something that they can treat, they can make money. 2. All diseases leave evidence of its existence on the person's body, one way or another. Addiction, however, does not. And 3, we voluntarily make the actions to engage in any addiction. In any addiction, we aren't really forced to engage in them. 4. Other behaviors in the past have been mistakenly believed to be a disease also, such as homosexuality. And 5. People engage in addictions for the positive effect or effects that come with it. We pay the price, however, with the negative effects that arise from it. So basically, it's one big trade-off, even if it only damages you in the end.